The whole debate over the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion revolves around what's best for the country. How will Canada benefit? How do we balance against any of the risks? Each of you, all of us really, are now or are about to be part owners of this multi-billion-dollar project that may or may not ever get built. So, what's in it for you, the taxpayer? To help us tackle some of that, we have Aaron Wudrick from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation and James McKellar from York University's Brookfield Centre for Real Estate and Infrastructure. It's nice to see you both. Aaron, if I can start with you, what do taxpayers get out of a deal like this?
Well, at first blush, it's tough to see. They're putting up a lot of cash, $4.5 billion to buy the existing pipeline and its infrastructure, and then at least another $7.4 billion by Kinder Morgan's estimates to build the extension. So that is an outlay of about $12 billion right off the top. It is a risk that they are now taking. The main reason that Kinder Morgan was concerned about this project was not because it wasn't financially viable. It was about political risk. That risk has now been taken from Kinder Morgan and transferred onto the backs of Canadian taxpayers.
But, and I mean, James, I'll put this to you. It was never really an economic risk. It was always a political one, whether the provinces could sort their way through this. Does this address, really, I mean, I put this to the pipeline guys, the guys that ran pipelines, are we any closer to knowing what they're going to do to exert that authority and take away that political risk?
I think right now we're just exploring a lot of the details. But I would have to say, if we stand back, what we realize is large infrastructure projects generally hit the road and then the stop sign, either because of political risk or environmental risk.
Right. And
you can list all the projects around the world that have faced that, the Ornstedt Bridge and Denmark. So there's nothing unusual about this. The unusual part is that we don't have to do it very often. But I think we may see more of this as we have to build national infrastructure, because you get people standing in the way when in fact to go through the regulatory process. The people who have to then pony up are the taxpayers. But I think if you look at the record, the taxpayers have done quite well out of these deals. It's not a bad track record.
Well, I mean, we listed them all at the end of the last block, going back to Confederation and the Trans-Canada rail line. You brought up in the break GM. That paid off pretty well. Was the real risk here letting a project like this fail?
Oh, I think if Canada had let this fail, it would have sent a very bad message. I think that we're talking here about a country that wants to advertise it's a good place to do business. We want to remove uncertainty. And, you know, it was a bit of a political standoff.
Right.
Some might claim it was sort of hostage-taking, so to speak.
Let's bring Aaron in on this, and specifically on, I think that it's a good point that these major infrastructure projects that have been bought in by the federal government before, up to and including GM, have paid off in the end, haven't they?
Well, I certainly contest the GM Chrysler issue. You know, we did a study that showed that after you calculate the cost of the original bailout and the sale of the shares, taxpayers actually lost money on that. Now, I know there are going to be arguments about economic spin-offs and other things, but in terms of pure dollars, that was a loss. So that's a concern to us. You know, I think the bigger question is this going to change anything? I take the professor's point that we want to have a good business environment here. We want to welcome foreign investment. We support the building of the pipeline, don't get me wrong. I'm just not convinced that by the government stepping in here, they have fixed the problem. They have basically signaled that you can't build big projects here as a private sector company. The government needs to step in and assist. So I'm not sure that sends a very clear, strong signal to other prospective investors.
And just to stick with you then, Aaron, for a second, if they get this built, I get that in the interim for right now, there's concern about it takes the federal government stepping in to build a project like this. If it does get built, does that not send a message of strength to investors looking at Canada that, yes, in spite of the concerns, we can actually get something built in this country?
Well, it wouldn't be the private investor getting it built. It would be showing that if the government steps in, if taxpayers step in and pick up the slack, that it could it be done. But I'm not sure that would convince private investors that that they can come here and actually see a project through to completion on their own.
What is the message to investors?
Well, I think in most of large infrastructure, even when the private sector is involved, such as hospitals and so forth, the government takes the risk. The taxpayers take the risk. So there's nothing unusual. It's just that this one has got a lot of political profile. But it's normal in public-private partnerships. In the end, the government does take the risk. In this case, they had to put their horse in a muddy field. And I think it was necessary. It was really a last resort. And I think if they craft it well, I think the nation, in a sense, will gain. But we've got to face up to this, that as we build our national infrastructure, this is going to crop up, and the governments are going to have to underwrite risk.
Aaron, like you said, you guys have looked at the specifics of projects like this in the past and tried to get a dollar value on what we got out of it. What is it going to take if we buy this at $4.5 billion, build at $7.5, according to Kinder's estimates? What's it going to take in real dollar values in 2021, 2022 to get our money, our taxpayer dollars, back out of this clean?
It's very tough to say, and I think that's actually the same reason that the government isn't giving clear answers when they're asked how much it will cost, when will they unload it, when do they expect to see taxpayers back in the black. I don't rule out the possibility that the government could make money on this. I simply am not convinced, based on the historical track record, especially with other investments, once you expand the scope beyond things like hard infrastructure, that the government is better at picking a winner than the private sector, and that they're going to be more efficient in building it, and frankly, that they're going to be able to overcome some of the political obstacles that have caused this problem in the first place.
All right, I think we're going to have to wrap this up here. But thanks to you both. Really good and important insights into this debate. That was Aaron Wudrick from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and here in studio, James McKellar from York University's Brookfield Centre for Real Estate and Infrastructure.